Hello there. My name is Jasom Jensai. This episode of Star Wars Duels is Windu vs. Snoke. Star Wars Duels is a series where I analyze two Star Wars characters' abilities, tactics, and powers to determine who would win in a fight. The battlefield for this duel will be a sub-tram underneath the surface of Quartzite, as seen in the Clone Wars episode where Ventress teams up with Boba Fett and his bounty hunter team. With that out of the way, this is where the fun begins. Windu is a powerful Jedi Master. Although he is known for his lightsaber abilities, his Force abilities are also important. Windu usually only uses a few Force powers, although it is likely that he has mastered all of the common powers associated with a Jedi. One of Windu's unique abilities is his mastery of Shatterpoint. Shatterpoint in canon is a fairly vague power. In the book Aftermath, Darth Sidious uses Shatterpoint to sense the importance of the Battle of Endor. Although it is not confirmed in canon, Windu was a master of Shatterpoint in Legends. And also in Legends, Shatterpoint could be used not just on events, but also on objects. Basically, with Shatterpoint, you can sense the weaknesses of objects and the importance of events, so you can break things easier and you can hold them together as well. We see a potential use of Shatterpoint in the Battle of Ryloth, when Windu uses the Force to break a sheet of transparasteel. Other than abilities like Shatterpoint, Force Augmentation, and his Force senses, Windu mostly just uses basic telekinesis. However, Windu's telekinesis is very powerful. With one Force push, Windu is able to shove a fallen ATTE off of a cliff, or destroy at least 4 battle droids, 2 super battle droids, and 2 destroyer droids. Although Windu's powers are strong, they are not his first instinct in a fight. Snoke was bred for power. Although the details of his creation are unknown, it is very clear that he is strong in the Force. Despite Rey's natural talent, Snoke was able to toss her around with ease, but Snoke's powers do not end with telekinesis. He has mastered Force Lightning, Force Stasis, and many other powers. Snoke is very confident with the Mind Probe. He was able to pry the location of Skywalker out of Rey fairly easily. However, Kylo was able to trick him by giving him part of the truth, but concealing his true motives. In addition to the basic mental powers of the Force, Snoke is able to create Force bonds between people. Although this is not applicable to combat, it demonstrates his knowledge and power with the Force. Windu is very strong with the Force, but I think Snoke has the advantage when it comes to Force abilities. To Windu, the Force is a last resort, while the Force is Snoke's primary weapon, and that's the main difference between these two. Although Windu's power with the Force is only slightly weaker than that of Snoke's, Snoke has demonstrated far more control and familiarity with his powers. However, Windu's Shatterpoint ability could help him level the playing field a bit against Snoke. Mace Windu is a renowned Jedi for many reasons, but one of the primary reasons is his skill in physical combat. During the Battle of Ryloth, Windu showcases his incredible skills on the battlefield. In order to finally capture Wat Tambor and recapture Ryloth, the Republic would have to cross a wide canyon. Unfortunately, the only way across was a long plasma bridge that could be shut off at any time from a control tower. Windu and a couple of clone troopers tried to sneak across, but halfway across the bridge they were found and it was deactivated. Despite having nothing but falling MTTs and a few stabs around him, Windu managed to get himself and his clone troopers to the other side. After reaching the other side, Windu held off over a dozen battle droids before his troops were able to cross the bridge and reinforce it. During his mission to Bardotta, Windu fought a group of cultists armed with long spears. Although the cultists outnumbered him 9-1, Windu managed to defeat them without killing more than 2 of them. Later on that same mission, Windu fended off 2 Gundarks at once for nearly a full minute without his lightsaber. After reacquiring his lightsaber, it took Windu barely a few seconds to scare the Gundarks off. The last feat of Windu's to discuss is his duel with Sidious. Although Windu was able to defeat Sidious, there are many reasons why I believe Sidious was not fighting at his best intentionally. In the first few seconds of the fight, Sidious killed Agan Kolar, Saisi Tin, and sadly Kit Fisto as well. All 3 were considered skilled duelists by Windu, and yet Sidious was able to overwhelm them with ease. Windu was unable to do a thing about it. However, this alone is not convincing. Windu and the other Jedi expected Sidious to surrender. They were all standing in semi-relaxed positions rather than battle stances, and so they were caught off guard. But this is not the only instance in this duel that shows Palpatine did not intend to kill Windu. After a hasty retreat and a brief flurry of attacks, Windu overswings and leaves his chest wide open. Sidious calmly holds Windu at saber point for 2 full seconds. If he really wanted to kill him, Sidious could have simply stepped forward and finished Windu off. Not only does the duel play out as though Sidious did not want to kill Windu, but Sidious had an obvious reason to keep Windu alive. Sidious's entire goal with setting up this fight was to turn Anakin to the dark side, forcing Anakin to choose between the Sith, represented by Sidious, an old man, a mentor, and a friend, or the Jedi, represented by Mace Windu, a bully, a potential murderer, and an enemy. That situation is the perfect situation for Sidious. All of this clearly points to the simple fact that Sidious was not trying to kill Windu. Even though I doubt Windu legitimately outdueled Sidious in this instance, I do think he is at the very least close to Sidious's level in dueling ability, which is far more than most Jedi can say. Windu is without a doubt one of the greatest duelists of his time. Now let's take a look at Snoke's physical abilities. Snoke is tall and thin. He is covered in scars and walks carefully. His gray-haired eyebrows indicate that he is no longer young. However, through the Force, he can probably move much faster than he looks. Master Yoda is similar. He is very old and uses a walking stick or hover chair most of the time, but when he calls upon the Force, he transforms into one of the greatest duelists of his time. Although we have never seen Snoke use his physical abilities, it is likely he is not as weak as he appears. This does not mean that Snoke is as physically capable as Yoda. Yoda has been training in lightsaber dueling for centuries, and he carries his lightsaber with him everywhere, so it makes sense that he would be proficient with Force augmentation. Snoke, on the other hand, does not have a lightsaber, so it is clear that his physical abilities are not his priority. Windu clearly has the edge when it comes to physical abilities. Even without a weapon, he is stronger, faster, and has far more skill. But with the lightsaber, Windu would be able to take Snoke out in seconds. The question is not whether Snoke can compete with Windu, it is whether he can get away from Windu. The verdict might seem clear at this point. Snoke has a slight edge with his Force abilities, but Windu has a massive edge with his physical abilities. However, a good tactician can force the battle into areas where they are strong and avoid areas where they are weak. So let's take a look at the tactical abilities of these two combatants. Windu suffers from extreme overconfidence. He is fearless and direct. He almost never waits to attack his enemies, which sometimes catches them off guard. This overconfidence comes from the centuries of Jedi success. Without the Sith to challenge their power, the Jedi were the ultimate power in the universe for 1,000 years. They were nearly unstoppable, so they learned to rush into situations trusting the Force to guide them. This strategy was effective for hundreds of years until Sidious manipulated the Jedi into entering the Clone Wars and leaving themselves vulnerable to Order 66. On a smaller scale, Sidious took advantage of Windu's overconfidence to turn Anakin to the dark side. As soon as Anakin told Windu that he suspected Palpatine was the Sith Lord, Windu gathered a few Jedi Masters and attempted to arrest Palpatine without even consulting Yoda. Fortunately for Windu, in this scenario, Snoke has not had decades to plot this duel. Windu's strategy of leaping into action will put pressure on Snoke as much as it will leave Windu open to any trap Snoke can set. Snoke's strategies are not brilliant either. His manipulation of Kylo Ren and Rey shows that he knows how to manipulate people when dealing from a place of power, but his actual combat strategy seems to be simply having more power. As the Supreme Leader of the First Order, Snoke was able to simply build a powerful fleet, blow up the New Republic, and take the galaxy for himself. While he was able to manipulate Rey to come to the supremacy, he was also tricked by Kylo Ren and killed right at his moment of triumph. We haven't really seen what he does when he is the underdog, so we don't know what he will do when confronted with someone of similar power to him, like Windu. In conclusion, Snoke seems to be only a mediocre tactician. Tactically, I think this fight is pretty straightforward. Windu, with the obvious physical edge, will try to rush Snoke, get close, and finish him off with his lightsaber, while Snoke, who doesn't have a lightsaber, will be trying to keep distance between them and finish Windu off with his Force powers. I don't think either combatant has a significant tactical advantage. Before I explain how I think this fight would go down, make sure to hit the like button and to leave a comment telling me who you think would win and why. Snoke and Windu are on opposite ends of the subtram. Snoke is in the first car, Windu is in the fifth. Windu would immediately jump to the roof and dash across the last two cars before jumping across the third car and into the second. As he does, Snoke would walk into the second car as well. Windu might pause and listen to Snoke's grand monologue for a second, but before long, he would leap towards Snoke. Snoke throws Windu to the side with the Force, but Windu twists midair and lands on the wall without missing a beat. Before Windu can get close, Snoke launches a bolt of lightning at him. Windu easily blocks the lightning, but it takes his momentum from him. Snoke hastily steps out of the car and leaps to the roof. As Windu follows, Snoke shoots a blast of lightning, which ricochets off of the other car and back towards Windu. Windu leaps over the blast of lightning and throws Snoke back with a force push as he lands on the roof. Before Snoke can recover, Windu lunges forward and points his blade at Snoke's throat. Snoke may be strong with the Force, but he could not keep up with Jedi Master Mace Windu. Thanks for listening to my thoughts on Windu vs. Snoke, and as always, may the Force be with you.